Hey good people, it's Ed Midsole here. A good test for a running shoe is to take it out on a longer run, so the SAUCONY Endorphin Elite gets the long run treatment today. Thanks for joining me once again on the channel. Do hit that subscribe button and give the bell a tinkle as well. Giving this video a thumbs up like really helps it to get out to more runners too. Dankeschön. I took the Endorphin Elite out on a longer run today, incorporating it into my half marathon training to get ready for the Manchester Half Marathon in October 2023. Nice sustainable pace today of around 8 minutes per mile in some reasonably dry roads and paths around Yeovil here in Somerset, UK. So about 1 hour 48 on my feet just to sort of increase the mileage somewhat. 689 feet of elevation gain across the distance, helping to make it to another week close to 2,000 feet of elevation. That seems to be helping my endurance and my strength as I get towards that half marathon goal. Average heart rate of 134 beats per minute, and almost all run in the endurance pace zone too. It was perfect running conditions out there, people. About 8 centigrade, very little wind as well. It just made for a really enjoyable run, in part due to the fact that I hadn't charged up my headphones. I only realised that as I kind of got out the door and there was no life whatsoever. No worries though, it gives you a chance to sort of talk to yourself and perhaps manage the run a little better. You haven't got any other rhythms or speeds and paces going on apart from the one that you're running at. And you occasionally get to hear the interesting noises from the wildlife as well, the squirrels and the cows, maybe even the odd kestrel. Seriously though, you can just focus on your form and your surroundings that little bit better. Just a refreshing change from time to time. Only a slight drop in pace up the hills. Aside from this, really happy with the overall sort of constant pace there and effort. Just ideal really, and my Garmin watch gobbled it up too. It was really happy with my sort of consistent pace and performance. I think it's got me down as a prediction of about 1 hour 28 now for the half marathon distance. I've placed the actual Manchester event in on the Garmin and it's kind of predicting 1:28, so we'll see what happens. Shoe-wise, I have to say the Endorphin Elite did splendidly well for this effort. You know, it's like a higher pace shoe for me, but no problems whatsoever with the upper. I did notice a few people that reviewed this shoe earlier in the year perhaps complaining a little bit about the upper, even the length of the shoe somewhat. I haven't had any of those issues whatsoever so far. Toe box is fantastic, it's just got the right amount of width and height. I haven't had any heel slip issues back here, even though we've got a very unconventional sort of setup. So always bear that in mind really when you get a review. This is certainly my personal experience with the shoe, and I think sometimes some of the reviewers do get the shoes, get them on feet and give you their sort of hot take on it, I suppose, and that isn't always the thing that you need, especially if you're going to consider wearing the shoe for like a marathon or something. As the miles add up, the feet start to swell, of course, but I didn't get any issues with any uncomfortable areas, any hot spots. It even drains water really well. I was being a bit of a kid actually and just sort of aiming for any puddles. There were quite a few around. We have had some rain recently and there's very little upper here for the water to actually hang on to, so it was good to see how the shoe behaved in the sort of more English style weather conditions. Absolutely nothing has really changed my first opinion about the shoe. On the long run, just felt really, really good. With a thicker sock as well, I didn't find the upper to be too breathable. I didn't have any problems with my feet sort of feeling too cold or anything. It was just absolutely perfect out there. Thinking about the midsole now on the longer run. So the material is quite intriguing here. The more I run in the shoe, I think I've got about 25 odd miles in it now, the more and more it feels like the Fight Foam Turbo that we've got in the Asics Metaspeed series. It's just more a rebound like foam here. It's a bit more dense, a bit more bouncy, not quite like the brittle stuff that we get in those Nike shoes. Feels like there's a little bit more foam here. It doesn't sort of completely disappear underfoot. Even the wear to the exposed midsole foam here is very similar to what I'm seeing on that Asics Metaspeed Sky Plus. It is discolouring a little bit, but not really too bothered about that. There's only a few people that are going to see the bottom of my shoe when I'm running or racing, and those are the people behind me. With this midsole, I do find it really easy to go up through the gears. Now, for a long run shoe, it might just simply prove to be a little bit too fast for you. I suggest this one does require a little bit of discipline to make sure you stay in that sort of pace zone that you're aiming for. It's just too easy to go a little bit too quick. Though again, that makes this shoe absolutely ideal, perhaps if you're going to incorporate some parts of your longer run with some like faster reps or intervals. I do like doing that from time to time just to see the sort of pace range and the versatility of the shoe. There's a ton of shoes out there that are really great if you want to just run a very long run at a slower pace. You know, if you're just going out easy sort of pace the whole way round. But it's quite useful to actually have a few shoes in the arsenal that are versatile and can cover a range of different paces. I was actually chatting with my friend Alan Rideout the other day while we were running about that very thing, you know, incorporating some speed and some sort of intervals into some of those long runs just to spice it up a bit, make it a bit more interesting. I think for marathon, half marathon pace, this one is really hitting all the buttons. It just really disappeared early on foot. I really wasn't thinking about the shoe choice whatsoever. And then later in the run, when I started to tire a little bit and needed something just to keep sort of propelling me along, the bounce was there, and you don't always get that with some shoes. They sort of bottom out a little bit after a certain period, maybe like 10 miles or something. The instant I wanted to turn up the pace, the foam was fantastic. Just kept doing the thing that I wanted it to do whenever I sort of put my mind to it. I think the underfoot feel is what I'm enjoying so much about this shoe. I really do like that Power Run PB insole that Saucony have included here. It's very similar to the one that you get in the Endorphin Pro 3. I think that adds a little bit to the bouncy nature of the shoe overall. I don't find the rigid nature of the shoe too overblown either. Yes, there is quite a substantial rocker there from the mid to forefoot. The speed roll technology. It does though roll through beautifully with your stride as a runner that sort of increases from like an easy pace cadence of about like 164 up to race sort of paces at like 182, 183, something like that. I found this shoe fits my sort of needs perfectly. As I mentioned earlier, the rebound here from the Power Run HG foam is very similar to what we find in Flight Foam Turbo. And let's not forget that that ASICS shoe helped me to a 10k PB back in July. So I think this type of foam, whatever it is, I'm not entirely sure of the formula, really does seem to work for me. Though I think this more maximised version will actually help me when I'm doing a half or full marathon. I mean, there's loads of other very light shoes out there with very soft foams, but I think the forked plate here, with the combination of that 8mm drop from heel to toe as well, really just does seem to tick the boxes. It is one of the most fun and exhilarating shoes I've run in all year, it has to be said, and it's also one of the most comfortable over longer distances as well. Can't say that with all of the shoes I've tried there. Fun. Outsole wise, we did have a little bit of standing water out there on the pavements and the roads I was running in. In fact, I was aiming for road pretty much all the way. It was quite early in the morning, very few cars around, and it's quite a quiet town anyway, really, so you can kind of find the crest of the road there and just run there most of the time. I did, though, turn into sort of kid mode and just start leaping in any puddles that I could find. I was acting like a fool out there, but hey, we all do that from time to time, right? Even on some very slippery layers of wet leaves, the traction was assured. Going downhill on a few occasions as well, it felt as if I could let rip a little bit. Now, the major nemesis of the Endorphin Pro 3 was on those smooth, sort of wet surfaces. I mean, that shoe was okay on those, but I wouldn't say it was absolutely perfect. This is certainly a step in the right direction, even on some debris and stuff. It actually had a pretty decent grip. Maybe it's something to do with the textured rubber that they've used here, and again, it's very similar to what's featured on the ASICS Metaspeed Sky Plus. Now, I would suggest the actual rebound of this shoe might almost be too extreme for some people going down hills. I was almost bouncing down some of the steeper descents, and this will no doubt shift some of the impact and the work that's being done on different parts or areas of your legs, so just bear that in mind. I have worn a number of different running shoes that do incorporate plates and very soft sort of rebound like foams, so please do go easy on yourselves if you pick up a pair of these shoes and go out and expect miracles from them. Do think you need to slowly incorporate them into your daily training and racing. They do actually demand something quite a bit different from you and your legs, so just be aware of that. This shoe certainly ticks all the boxes so far across all of the paces for me. It really is a wonder. Certainly be in line for some racing very soon. I do have a shoe in mind for the Manchester Half Marathon at the moment, so I'm probably going to stick with that for the time being, but there are other races very soon and other opportunities to test this one out at some faster speeds and go for a few more personal bests. Let me know your thoughts, opinions and experiences in the Saucony Endorphin Elite down in the comments. Quick musical interlude for you. One of my favourite albums from Neil Young is only just recently available, I guess. Time Fades Away. I think they did like a reissue of it on like CD and vinyl quite recently. It really is the essence of Neil Young here, sort of grimy, grungy guitars interspersed with lots of different piano sort of tracks. I think it's a bit of a lost album. I don't think Neil Young was ever really happy with the actual mix of the tracks, and it never got reissued. It was just kind of floating around the internet in a few places if you could find it. Certainly worth checking out. Don't Be Denied is a fantastic tune, all about kind of knowing where you're going and just keeping on to get there. Pretty good ethos, I guess, if you're running a race and it starts feeling pretty hard. Don't be denied, you've got to hang in there and get to the goal. And the title track of the album as well, Time Fades Away, is a proper good old boys sort of country rock jam. Go and check it out, people. Time Fades Away by Neil Young. Thanks for tuning in, people. Hope you enjoyed today's video. Help the channel to continue to grow by hitting that subscribe button, but also giving us a super thanks as well down below if you want to help the channel out on a more ad hoc basis and support us with some new shoes. Give this video a thumbs up like. My name's EDDBUD, and I'll be seeing you